The next major thing that happened to the English language was the Roman invasion. You all know that Roman Empire was great, it has very strong culture and it had its specialized common Latin language. Here on this slide you can see the size of Roman Empire by the time it had invaded the British Isles. The first mention of British Isles goes back to Pytheas of Massalia, who in year 325 BC went across the Mediterranean and then north to discover new lands. He found some strange territory full of people who called themselves the Brits, and he named this land Britannia. He found, by his words, a lot of gold, silver and pearl there. Then he headed to the north further, and he was the first person who described the icebergs and the floating ice. But it was too cold for his expedition to continue. He returned back to his south and warm Massalia, which is Marseille, the French city of today. But no one believed him. They told him he was a fake and all his journey has been made up. So his words and his letters were all forgotten, only to be found 200 years later. By who? Julius Caesar. Yes, the famous Roman emperor and commander who conquered all of the Gallia, which is modern France now, and he was the first Roman emperor to land and step his foot on the British Isles. This happens in the year 54 and 55 BC. He claimed these lands for the Roman Empire and was pretty sure that all people who lived there were happy to meet the Romans. Well, he was kinda wrong. Because by the time he arrived, they had their own language, their own culture and their own history. As you can see on our slide, our bird jumped to the period of Romans, the blue line. The blue line of Latin language, which was the major language of all Roman Empire. The blue line of Latin language, which brought English people so many words. Check out this slide. Such as Albion, Angle, Army, Barber, Bonus, Calculator, Card, Dentist, Decision, Extreme, Fabric, Finish, Jam, Gentle, Honor, Internal, Junior, Lake, Manager, Navy, Onion, Orbit, Peasant, Privacy, Pupil, Quarter, Radish, Sock, Tribe, Unite, Parent and Village. You can see that mostly on each letter of modern English alphabet there was a word from Latin. Of course, the influence was huge, it was immense, but there were still left some letters which were absent in Latin alphabet. Did you know that the letters W, X, Y, Z were not in original Latin alphabet and Latin language, so there were no words starting with them. So, besides language, you know that Romans were pagans, and they respected and loved, I think, every god on the planet. Of course, they got the major one, but they never minded if some people had their own gods. So, the goddess of the British Isles was Britannia. Yes, The new Roman pantheon goddess wearing a helmet and a trident became the symbol of the Brits and the goddess of the British Isles. Here again in this slide you can see a Sicilian rule. You know that English alphabet has a little correlation to how it sounds, and this problem is maybe 3,000 or 4,000 years old. So 2,000 years ago, students and pupils of Roman Empire had broken their minds trying to read Roman texts. This is one of the rules which comes from that period. It's called the Cecilia rule. You see, Cecilia is a popular name. It used to be very popular in Roman Empire, and by this rule you can also and always say that before letters E and letter I, the letter C pronounced like S, like in the word Sicilia. You know, there was invented the new letter for Latin alphabet but by the time. It's called the Y or Y. The Greek I, because the Latin people understood that they lack letters for daily conversation. So this Sicilian rule has a correlation to the letters E, I and Y. Using this Sicilian rule and remember it like forever, so you can read any text. Try yourself with words like a peace, a celebrate, a cipher, Cyprus and Pacific.